What if I asked you what you thought of art? Is it an experience, a feeling, or maybe an emotion? Janine Anatonin is a very interesting artist, very different than other artists. I appreciate her innovation. If anything, she wants to portray a more physical experience with her art through touch, smell, and taste. She wants the viewer to appreciate how and why the piece of art was made and where it came from. To me, it seems her art is something tangible, with sculptures that express emotions for some. She wants to create an experience with her art and evoke a feeling in the viewer. I feel she accomplishes this, whether it be positive or negative. I will be discussing Janine Anatoni's piece of art named Saddle. The work she does to express her thought process is a labor of love. Janine has done a series of cow pieces and how it relates to the cow, to understand it and her relationship to it. She got on her hands and knees to imitate the animal in a submissive pose. This piece was made out of rawhide. She made a mold of herself on her hands and knees, took rawhide when it was very malleable, and draped it over the mold. Worked with all the folds, sculpting them, depicting the body underneath the veil. Then, when the hide was completely hard, she removed the mold from the inside. The sculpture is completely hollow inside, and this was really important to her because she wanted the viewer to feel the absence of her and the absence of the cow. She states, "Performance wasn't something that I intended to do. I was doing work that was about process, about the meaning of the making, trying to have a love-hate relationship with the object. I always feel safer if I can bring the viewer back to the making of it. I try to do that in a lot of different ways, by residue, by touch, by these processes that are basic to all of our lives, that people might relate to in terms of everyday activities like bathing and eating. But there are times when the best way to keep people in that place, which for me is so alive and pertinent, is to show the process of the making." This piece is unlike any other. The medium is cowhide, her technique impeccable by casting a mold of her body and molding the folds to appear the look of a veil. The object is life-size of a female human body. The forms are quite proportional and naturalistic. It almost seems real, and the viewer's thinking, is that a human or an animal? Unsure due to the appearance of what she makes look like a tail. The composition is very much telling us where to look at first. Our eyes are directly attuned to what looks like a tail but unsure. Then all of these curvular lines with the folds she created in contours where the folds meet the medium. The nature of the surface texture is very smooth, with what looks like some jagged and possible sharp outer edges appear to be rough. She did a great job in demonstrating the form, looking naturalistic and lifelike. The piece I would like to compare this to is The Tree of Life by Ana Mendieta from Cuba in 1977. This is a color photograph documenting the earth and body sculpture with artist, tree trunk, and mud at Old Man's Creek, Iowa City, Iowa. Mendieta created many outdoor performances that dealt with her body directly or the trace of her body on the earth. She made herself into a body sculpture covered with mud and straw. She posed against a tree in a manner reminiscent of ancient fertility goddesses. This piece of art reminds me of Janine's because of the artists using of their bodies to make the art. The difference is that Mendieta assumed distinct poses to represent primal feminine forces with her own body, and Antoni wanted her piece to resemble the absence of her and the cow. One is about presence and the other about absence. Both artworks capture a unique nature of wonder in the viewer. The second piece I want to compare Antoni's saddle to is Laocoon and his sons in Greece, late 2nd, early 1st C BCE. This resembles Antoni's artwork because they both have you wondering what is going on and almost a sense of confusion. The artists use the body to address ideas about the essence of humanity, as well as cultural ideas. The medium he used is marble with lots of curvature lines. The form is impeccable, with the father and his two sons being in great proportion to one another. All the emphasis here is on the diagonal and the serpentine. This figure twists in space. His legs move to the left, his torso moves to the right, and his head is tilted to the left. It is so expressive in the body, you can see the fear in their faces and what's happening to them, and their utter exhausted looks on their faces from fighting the serpentine off. There is a power in the sculpture, just like the other two. In conclusion, I have gone over what art is appreciated for and some of its forms. I've analyzed Janine Antoni's saddle and how she went about making it, the two comparing pieces of art, Ana Mendieta's Tree of Life, and how her piece was similar in the way that she used her body to create the piece of art. The second was Laocoon and his sons. This piece was similar in that it confuses the viewer as to what is going on. Janine Antoni's saddle is something tangible and evokes a feeling in the viewer as well as creating an experience with her art. This is accomplished whether it be positive or negative. The end.